right? So let's take a look at this roster, right? So we have the USA Basketball. They ended up tweeting this out. The USA BWNT is back. 18 athletes will attend training camp December 12, 14 in Durham, North Carolina, right? Now, look at this roster, fam. Lauren Betts, Aaliyah Boston, Cameron Brink, Paige Beckers, Veronica Burden, Sonia Citron, Caitlin, Kalia, Chelsea Gray, Brittany, De'Erica Ham.
18 names. One training camp in Durham, North Carolina this December. And a roster announcement that's got the entire basketball world arguing about who deserves to represent Team USA in 20. Because when USA Basketball dropped their roster for the upcoming national team training camp scheduled for December 12th through 14th, they didn't just release a list of players. They released a statement about the future direction of women's basketball. And judging by who's on it and who's conspicuously absent, that statement is loud and clear.
Oh my goodness, man. Who's going to make the cut? That's the question. Man, honestly, seeing Juju, Caitlin, and Paige on the same court, what in the world? What in the world is going on with that? Sonya, man, I mean, this would be a nice squad, fam. A nice squad. Oh my goodness. Like, honestly, I would like for Chelsea and Brittany, they gotta slide over a little bit, man. Allow these youngsters to go out there and get it done, man.
Look at those names. Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers, Juju Watkins, on the same roster. 3 players who between them generated more media coverage, ticket sales, and television ratings in the past 2 years than entire franchises have managed in a decade. But here's what makes this roster fascinating. It's not just the young stars who made the cut. Chelsea Gray, Brittany Griner, Kelsey Plum, Brianna Jones, veterans with championship pedigree and Olympic experience. So the question becomes, is USA Basketball building for 2028? Or are they trying to bridge 2 eras?
You know, I get it, Diana Taurasi, she got the record of, I don't know how many goals, 8 goals, something like that. She's up there, right? But, man, I think they need to let the youngins come in, man. Let them young bodies come in and do their thing. So if we are going with, hey, we need to let the youngins get in there, my roster would probably look like Caitlin, Paige, Juju, who else? I add Sonya, Aaliyah, Cameron, Lauren.
That reaction right there captures what a lot of fans are feeling. Because the roster includes Lauren Betts, Aaliyah Boston, Cameron Brink, De'Erica Hamby, Kiki Rice, Ryan Howard, and Jackie Young alongside those bigger names. It's a blend of college stars about to enter the draft, second and third year WNBA players finding their footing, and established veterans who've been there before. 18 players competing for 12 roster spots. And the politics that typically surround these decisions just got exponentially more complicated.
And then you can give me De'Erica, that'll be 11, and then Jackie Young, that's my 12, man. That would be my 12. I know Kelsey Plum is a baller. I know Brianna Jones gets it done in the paint for the Atlanta Dream. I understand it, right? I understand it. Chelsea Gray just won a championship, went crazy. I understand that too. Kay Kopp was doing a phenomenal job in the finals, actually. Maybe, I want to say, maybe like 2 games she was showing out. And maybe the series before she was showing out. But, man, I want to see these youngins.
Here's why this matters more than a typical training camp announcement. The last Olympic cycle saw massive controversy around roster construction. Diana Taurasi made the team at 41 years old, appearing in limited minutes while younger players watched from home. Sue Bird retired after that tournament, leaving questions about when USA Basketball would fully commit to the next generation. Now we're seeing that transition happen in real time. But the presence of veterans like Chelsea Gray, who just turned 31, and Brittany Griner, who'll be 34 in October, suggests they're not ready to make it a complete youth movement yet.
I mean, we saw how she was performing. She was there for experience. I mean, she was telling the players how to play, how to get through things, right? She was coaching on the sideline. Although Jackie is going to be hooping. Jackie is going to ball out. Now, I guess this means A'ja Wilson would not be participating, which is fine as well because you have a lot of bigs, fam. You have a lot of new young legs up in there, fam. I'm loving it. So, we'll see, man. We'll see who is picked. Just seeing this graphic right here lets me know that we're getting.
The most notable absence from this roster, A'ja Wilson, the 2-time MVP, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, And the face of USA Basketball's gold medal run in Paris isn't listed among the 18 players heading to Durham. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean she's off the team. Wilson has already secured her spot through previous commitments and performance. But her absence from this particular camp sends a message about who needs to prove themselves and who's already got their ticket punched for 20. And that's where the politics start getting messy.
That goes on within picking this team. I just hope the politics don't ruin this opportunity of seeing great basketball, man, from young players, young stars. Please don't ruin it. All right, please. Just allow us to see what we want to see. All right, do not go against the grain and start playing politics. Start playing, oh, you know, they've been here for X amount of years. Come on, man. Come on, man. Give the people what they want to see. All right, we are rooting for these younger players, man. And honestly,
think about what USA Basketball is trying to accomplish here. They need to maintain their dominance on the international stage, while also capitalizing on the massive surge in popularity that players like Clark, Bjorkers, and Watkins have generated. The 2024 Paris Olympics averaged 1.4 million viewers per game for women's basketball. Caitlin Clark's regular season WNBA games were averaging over 1.8 million. The math isn't complicated. Put these young stars on Team USA, and you're looking at potentially record-breaking viewership for international competition. But here's the tension. International basketball is physical. It's tactical. It requires experience reading defenses that don't operate like WNBA or college systems. Teams like Belgium, Australia, and Spain play a completely different style, one that's caught American teams off guard before. In 2006, Team USA finished third at the World Championship, their worst performance ever. That led to a complete overhaul of how they approached international competition, prioritizing veterans who understood the nuances of FIBA rules and international officiating. So when you see Chelsea Gray's name on this roster, that's not sentiment, that's strategic. Gray is one of the best pick-and-roll operators in basketball. Someone who can control tempo and make reads against zone defenses that international teams love to deploy. When you see Brittany Griner's name, that's about having a true post presence who can punish smaller international lineups. These aren't just veterans taking up spots. They're insurance policies against the kind of upset that would be catastrophic for USA Basketball's reputation.
I don't know what would get them ready if that's not enough. So I don't want to hear that excuse of, oh, the game gets really physical over there. Man, y'all are really physical over here. All right, y'all already physical. Cameron Brink had a bloody nose, fam. Bloody nose. Come on, man. We already know Caitlin done went through the ringer. Come on, man. We are ready. All right, get these young players in there, baby. Let's go. Now, to kind of wrap up the video, I do want to talk about this move right here, fam. We got Kelsey Mitchell going to Project B.
But that argument about physicality and experience? It's wearing thin with fans who watched what happened during Caitlin Clark's rookie season. She took flagrant fouls, got hip-checked into scorers' tables, dealt with defenders grabbing and holding on every possession, and still averaged 19.2 points and 8.4 assists per game. Paige Bueckers has come back from 2 ACL injuries and dominated college basketball. Juju Watkins just finished her freshman season at USC, averaging 27.1 points per game, second highest in the nation. These aren't delicate prospects who need protection. They're battle-tested competitors who've already proven they can handle physical play.
Are they panicking? How do they feel about this? Right? How do they feel about this? It always goes back to me thinking about that message that Breanna Stewart had about two-faced people. Was she shooting that shot at somebody she know, right? Was she shooting that at NECA? Was she shooting that at the people who are signing to Project B? Who was she shooting that message to? That'd be my biggest question. But Kelsey Mitchell signing to Project B, man. I just wonder, who are the other players? Now, we know they're going to get 66 players.
And here's where the business side of this decision becomes impossible to ignore. USA Basketball isn't just trying to win gold medals. They're trying to grow the sport. They're trying to secure better sponsorship deals, higher television rights fees, and increased global interest in women's basketball. You accomplish that by putting your most marketable players on the biggest stage. Caitlin Clark has 3.2 million Instagram followers. Paige Bueckers has 1.4 million. Chelsea Gray has 180,000. The gap in cultural impact isn't even close. So if you're USA Basketball, you're looking at this roster and thinking about more than just X's and O's.
But hey, y'all let me know how y'all feel about the USA roster. How do y'all feel about Kelsey Mitchell leaving Unrivaled, joining Project B next year? Man, it's a lot going on, man. I am very, very interested in seeing what y'all have to say about these things right here. Let me know in the comment section, man. I love y'all. Y'all keep it smooth.
Now let's talk about what this roster tells us about specific players and their trajectories. Start with Lauren Betts, the UCLA center who's projected as a top 5 pick in the 2025. Her inclusion signals that USA Basketball sees her as a legitimate option at the 5 position. Someone who could potentially back up or even compete with A'ja Wilson for minutes. That's significant because it suggests they value her skill set, her footwork in the post, and her ability to stretch the floor more than other traditional centers who've been in the WNBA longer. Aaliyah Boston's presence makes sense given her Rookie of the Year campaign in 2023 and her continued development with Indiana. But Cameron Brink's inclusion is particularly interesting considering she just finished her rookie season with the Sparks. She's raw, still figuring out how to use her length at the professional level. But USA Basketball clearly sees potential there. Same with Kiki Rice, who's still in college at UCLA. They're betting on projection, not just current production. The guard situation is where things get really crowded. You've got Caitlin Clark, Paige Bueckers, and Juju Watkins as the young stars. Chelsea Gray, Kelsey Plum, and Jackie Young as the established veterans. Then you add Sabrina Ionesco and Rhyne Howard into that mix, and suddenly you're looking at 9 legitimate guards competing for maybe 5 or 6 roster spots. Someone's getting cut. Multiple someones, actually. And that's where the politics that were mentioned earlier become unavoidable.
Now, to kind of wrap up the video, I do want to talk about this move right here, fam. We got Kelsey Mitchell going to Project B. Another player from Unrivaled, man. It is getting scary for Unrivaled. All right, Alyssa Thomas done left. We got Kelsey Mitchell now, who we know signed with Unrivaled. Right, one of the new expansion teams. She's on one of those teams, and now she's Project B in it. Next year, Project B in it. Left Unrivaled, fam. Hey, Project B is becoming a major threat.
That concern about politics isn't paranoia. It's pattern recognition. Because USA Basketball has a history of favoring continuity and veteran presence over youth and upside. When Skylar Diggins-Smith was left off the 2020 Olympic roster despite being in her prime, the explanation was about chemistry and experience with the system. When younger players have been passed over in previous cycles, it's always been justified with vague references to international experience and understanding the program's culture. But at some point, you have to let the next generation take over. And if not now, with 4 years to prepare for 2020, the comparison to the men's program is instructive here. When USA Basketball men's national team started rebuilding after disappointing performances in 2004 and 2006, they committed fully to their young stars. They built around LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Paul. Even though veterans like Reggie Miller and Gary Payton were still available, that commitment paid off with gold medals and a restored reputation. The women's program has been more conservative, more likely to stick with proven commodities, even when the talent gap between veterans and young players has narrowed. But this roster suggests maybe, possibly, they're ready to take that leap. Having Caitlin Clark, Paige Bueckers, and Juju Watkins all in camp together isn't just about evaluation, it's about building chemistry between players who are going to be the face of USA Basketball for the next decade. It's about getting them comfortable with international rules, with FIBA officiating, with the pace and spacing differences they'll encounter. And it's about sending a message to the basketball world that American women's basketball isn't just dominant, it's getting younger, faster, and more exciting. The wild card in all of this, how these players perform in their respective leagues between now and the actual Olympic qualifying tournament. Caitlin Clark just finished a Rookie of the Year campaign, but has areas of her game that need refinement. Particularly on defense, Paige Bueckers hasn't played a professional game yet. Juju Watkins is still in college and won't enter the WNBA until 20. Their development trajectories over the next 3 years will determine whether they're role players on Team USA or centerpiece stars. But before we get too deep into USA Basketball politics, we need to address the other major story that dropped simultaneously. Kelsey Mitchell, one of the most consistent scorers in WNBA history, and a player who was supposed to be part of Unrivaled's inaugural season, just announced she's joining Project B instead. And that decision has massive implications for both leagues, for player movement, and for the entire landscape of women's basketball's offseason economy. Kelsey Mitchell averaged 17.6 points per game last season with Indiana. She's a pure scorer, someone who can create her own shot and punish defenses that help off her. She was exactly the type of established star that Unrivaled wanted to build around, someone with name recognition and proven production who could help legitimize their league, and she walked away to join their direct competitor. That's not just a business decision. That's a statement. Either Project B made her an offer she couldn't refuse, or something about Unrivaled structure, compensation, or vision didn't sit right with her. Let's establish what we're dealing with here. Unrivaled launched with massive fanfare, backed by Breanna Stewart and Afisa Collier, two of the biggest names in women's basketball. They promised six-figure salaries, equity stakes for players, and a 3-on-3 format that would showcase skill and athleticism. They've already signed major stars, secured television deals, and positioned themselves as the premium option for WNBA players who want to make money during the offseason without going overseas. Project B, by contrast, has been more mysterious in their rollout. They're promising 66 roster spots across their league, suggesting a more traditional 5-on-5 format with more teams and more opportunities. They've been aggressive in recruiting, clearly targeting players who might have been on the fence about Unrivaled's 3-on-3 concept. And now they've landed Kelsey Mitchell, who becomes their highest profile signing to date. That's a momentum shift. That's Unrivaled's competition proving they can compete for talent. The timing of Mitchell's announcement is particularly significant. Unrivaled's season is set to launch in January 2025, just a few months away. They've been building their roster, finalizing their broadcast partnerships, and generating buzz around their inaugural campaign. And right in the middle of that promotional push, one of their expected stars announces she's going elsewhere. That's not just losing a player, that's losing the narrative. Because now every other player who's weighing their options has proof that Unrivaled isn't the only game in town. And here's what makes this even more interesting. Alyssa Thomas, another major star, also recently announced she's not participating in Unrivaled. Now you've got two high-profile players publicly choosing different paths. That creates permission for others to do the same. It breaks the perception that Unrivaled is the default choice for top-tier talent. And it forces Unrivaled to answer questions about why players are opting out. The financial implications are significant. If Project B is offering comparable or better compensation than Unrivaled, that changes the entire market for off-season basketball. WNBA players have historically gone to Europe, Turkey, Russia, or China to make real money during the winter months. Those overseas contracts often paid more than entire WNBA salaries, which is why players were willing to deal with the travel, the time away from family, and the physical toll of playing year-round. Domestic leagues that can match or exceed those overseas offers, while letting players stay in the United States, are game changers. But there's another angle here that's worth considering. What if Mitchell's decision wasn't primarily about money? What if it was about form? 3-on-3 basketball is a different game. It requires different skills, different conditioning, different strategic thinking. Some players thrive in that environment. Others prefer traditional 5-on-5, where they can use screens, play in structured offenses, and rely on the spacing and rhythm they've developed over years of playing full-court basketball. If Mitchell looked at Unrivaled's format and decided it didn't suit her game, that's a legitimate basketball decision, not just a financial one. The reaction from Breanna Stewart is also worth monitoring. She posted something on social media recently about two-faced people, about individuals who say one thing privately and do another publicly. Now that could be about anything, could be about media members, could be about league executives, could be about players. But the timing, right as Mitchell's Project B announcement dropped, raises questions. Was Stewart subtweeting someone specific? Was she referring to players who committed to Unrivaled and then backed out? Because if there's tension between Unrivaled's founders and players who've chosen different paths, that's a story that's going to keep developing. Project B's strategy seems to be positioning themselves as the more inclusive option, the league that can accommodate more players and offer more opportunities. 66 roster spots means they're building something bigger than Unrivaled's more exclusive model. Whether that's sustainable, whether they can actually deliver on the financial promises they're making to that many players, remains to be seen. But for now, they're winning the perception battle. They're the upstart challenger that's proving they can compete with the established favorite. For Kelsey Mitchell specifically, this move makes sense from a leverage perspective. She's entering the prime of her career, she's coming off a strong season with Indiana, and she's positioned herself as someone who makes decisions based on what's best for her, not what's expected or what's popular. That's the kind of agency that WNBA players have been fighting for. The ability to choose their off-season destinations, to negotiate for better compensation, to build their brands on their own terms. Mitchell exercising that agency, even if it means going against the grain, is exactly what player empowerment looks like. The broader question is what this means for the WNBA's off-season landscape going forward. For years, the league has struggled with the reality that players had to go overseas to make a living wage.